New York recently implemented a congestion pricing policy, charging cars entering the city $9 a day, and the backlash was immediate, with lawsuits and calls to President Trump occurring within the first weeks of its implementation. Is congestion pricing effective in improving cities, and are the consequences worth it? Congestion pricing helps put a dollar value on the cost of traffic to decrease the total number of cars on the street. This happens as the added cost of driving encourages drivers to use other forms of transportation to decrease the total number of cars on the road. New York justified its implementation of congestion pricing by citing that the average New Yorker spends 117 hours per year stuck in gridlock, and it costs the city $20 billion in lost productivity of people sitting in traffic. This monetary application to congestion could be expanded further to consider second-hand benefits of reduced congestion, such as less air pollution and faster response time for emergency vehicles. Through congestion pricing, cities are able to reclaim this lost value through charging tolls on vehicles entering the city. In New York, congestion pricing has been effective in achieving the goals New York set out to accomplish. Weekday traffic fell by 7.5% and weekend traffic fell by 18.5% on the first week it was implemented. That's a reduction of about 44,000 cars per day. Crossing times across all bridges entering the city have also decreased by a significant amount. Not only are these tolls working against congestion, they're also collecting taxes that can be reinvested into the transportation system. These funds are expected to raise $500 to $800 million per year. With all these benefits, it seems odd that there's so much backlash. The biggest complaint simply comes from families not wanting to spend more money on the tolls. Those driving to work could end up spending around $2,250 per year. That's a big new cost for workers who may need to change their commute they've been taking for decades, or make reductions in other areas of their life to cover the new toll. Another key complaint with congestion pricing tolls is that they're a form of regressive tax, where lower income people are paying a higher percentage of their income because the tolls are a flat rate across income groups. President Trump has even called this specific congestion pricing plan the most regressive tax known to womankind. These complaints also stem from how many lower income individuals tend to live farther away from the city center, restricting their ability to use other forms of transportation. Additionally, there's lots of people who are disproportionately affected by the tolls on cars, such as those with disabilities, because they have a much harder time accessing other forms of transportation like public transportation or cycling. Another complaint is that congestion pricing can be seen as double taxation because roads have already been paid for by the gas tax. Taxing individuals for roads that they've already paid for seems unfair. Complaints also stem from the potential negative consequences on businesses. Shipping prices because of the tolls and less people entering the city could have a negative impact on businesses within the tolled area. Despite these problems with congestion pricing, there are many options to reduce or negate these negative consequences and still have all the benefits of congestion pricing. I will say that the added cost to families should not go understated. Congestion pricing will burden families, but New York City and surrounding states can reduce the money that they're collecting through other transportation taxes to reduce the burden for families to pay for transportation, and it could potentially lead to many families paying less in transportation taxes than they have been paying previously. It is also worth noting that alternatives are available. Public transportation is effective and efficient, and carpooling cuts the toll in half when splitting with a coworker. For many, the benefits of faster commute times far outweigh the costs, as it allows certain employees to work additional hours or spend more time with their family at home. The complaints about the negative effects on businesses are far overblown, because those sitting in traffic were not going to be the ones patronizing businesses anyways. Some economists are even saying that businesses will benefit as more pedestrians and cyclists purchase from businesses as they spend more time in the city. Additionally, less congestion means that shipping times will decrease, reducing some of the extra shipping costs, which are inevitably going to get passed on to consumers. The double taxation theory does not consider the negative externalities caused by driving, such as air pollution and traffic deaths. The extra tax associated with congestion pricing can account for those negative externalities that are not currently being accounted for in the gas tax. This means that it's not taxation on something that you already paid for. It's a new form of taxation for the effects that aren't being paid for currently. Regarding the regressive nature of congestion pricing, research on the congestion pricing in Stockholm has showed that higher income individuals spend more on average towards congestion pricing. This is partially because lower income individuals are priced out of the tolls, but on average, higher income individuals are more likely to take more trips and therefore pay more on taxes than other income groups. Despite this, even if lower income individuals end up spending a higher proportion of their income on the tolls, the way we redirect this money from the tolls can reduce the effects of the regressive nature of the tax. For example, investing in public transportation and roads within lower income areas can provide outsized benefits to those who may be paying a higher percentage of their income towards the toll. Additionally, most transportation taxes, like the gas tax, are already regressive. So these tolls can replace those other forms of regressive taxes, making it a wash. Further, congestion pricing is likely to reduce negative externalities that disproportionately affect lower income areas, such as air pollution, by reducing the number of cars driving, which can help account for the regressive nature of the tax and make it more equitable. But at the end of the day, all cars take up space no matter the net worth of the driver. So if we decide that congestion creates negative externalities that are worth counteracting through taxes, we must appropriately apply those taxes to all that are contributing to it. Lastly, in New York and practically every other city that has implemented congestion pricing has allowed reductions and exemptions to those who are highly affected by the tolls, like those with lower incomes or individuals with disabilities that make alternative forms of transportation more difficult. New York has the low income discount plan that provides 50% off tolls after the first 10 tolls of the month, and qualifying vehicles who are transporting individuals with disabilities are exempt from the tolls. These simple additions make sure that the tolls are effective but not prohibitive to those who need to travel by car. Overall, I do believe that congestion pricing in New York City will improve the city. The numerous benefits from reducing time and traffic, from monetary to environmental, are hard to deny, and encouraging positive behaviors like carpooling are common sense. Drivers can still drive into the city when necessary or preferred, and although the congestion pricing will create a significant burden to those relying on employment in the city, alternatives are available, and the tolls can supplement or replace other transportation taxes, keeping the cost to families steady. Based on my research, I think congestion pricing will be a huge success in New York City. Given all this discussion around congestion pricing, should it be implemented in other cities? I think all cities should implement some form of congestion pricing if they're experiencing negative externalities from traffic. Most rural and suburban areas are not going to have the same problems associated with traffic as New York, but many urban areas could benefit from some form of congestion pricing. However, the success of congestion pricing will likely come down to each city's unique transportation network and how they apply different forms of congestion pricing. Every city may have an entirely different form of congestion pricing that fits their needs. For example, one of the most important keys to implementing a cordon pricing system like New York, where a toll is paid to enter a specific area of the city, is having effective alternatives that are not driving. A city like Atlanta that does not have an effective public transportation system that extends into the suburbs should not implement a cordon system. Because Atlanta lacks an alternative to driving, any toll to enter the city's core becomes a form of price gouging because commuters don't have any recourse to avoid the toll other than carpooling. A better form of encouraging carpooling is creating high occupancy vehicle lanes, which allow drivers who are carrying multiple passengers to have exclusive access to a lane with other drivers with multiple riders. The number of drivers with passengers in the car is always going to be less than the total number of drivers. So this exclusive access allows them to fly by traffic who are all sitting with one person in their vehicle. HOV lanes are effective in areas without public transportation because they encourage drivers who have carpooling as an option to take that method and reward them with faster driving times, but it does not punish drivers who don't have that option. Another form of congestion pricing that could be implemented in cities without robust public transportation is high occupancy toll lanes, which work like HOV lanes, but solo drivers can elect to pay a toll to access the faster lanes and avoid traffic. These tolls can then be reinvested into alternative forms of transportation or creating additional high occupancy toll lanes to create a network that rewards drivers for choosing methods that reduce congestion on roads. High occupancy toll lanes work best when there's not enough HOV drivers to fully utilize an HOV lane. By allowing other drivers to access these underutilized lanes, it provides the government with a toll to use on other initiatives and decreases one driver from the main lanes, reducing congestion in the main lane. If there are enough HOV drivers, I think an HOV lane is preferred. For a city like Atlanta, I think expanding HOV and HOT lanes is the ideal solution for reducing traffic congestion alongside a long-term plan for expanding public transportation. Overall, I think all cities should look at their transportation networks and see where and how congestion pricing could be implemented. There are significant negative externalities that come from more cars on the road, and to me it makes sense to take measures to encourage more efficient transportation methods. Through implementing smart taxation strategies like congestion pricing, we can reduce the adverse effects associated with driving and replace other transportation taxes, resulting in a steady tax amount for families and a healthier society. If you have any questions or criticisms, please let me know in the comments below, and I'm excited to share with you all again in the next video.